Locati here, and today we are looking at a budget version of our attribute stacking Deadeye. We're going to go ahead and run a T15 map with this boss on it that's irradiated, so it's a level 80 map. Most of our gear we'll go over, but this is all very, very budget-oriented gear. None of it is, how should we say, perfect. They were just the cheapest pieces that we could find that fit our character. The total investment you could build this character would be about 1 div. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on what the div market is today. Now, when it starts out, to get a freeze going so you can get charges, just hit something a few times, drop a bell. Once you have dropped your bell, you'll immediately get a freeze on the bell. That'll trigger your combat frenzy, and then you can just start swinging away with your charge staff. Playstyle is pretty straightforward. You're just going to swing at everything with your charge staff. Whenever your charge staff starts to get low on duration, you just refresh it. And we're going to zoom around the map like this. Thank you rares, things like that. You're going to hit them with, sorry, I ran out of mana there. Thank you rares, things like that. You're going to hit them with a bell. And then you're going to hit the bell to do damage. I guess we'll do the delirium. Our goal is just to get to the boss and see the boss damage on this as well. Boss damage is something that's going to be kind of the limiting factor on most of the builds, so you want a build that has good clear and a build that bosses well. Now, I'm running 4 links right now on my Flickerstrike and my Tempest Flurry. We do have a 5 link, but I've only got 4 supports in there. That is just to show where you would be at 4 supports if you have found some of those. If you've only got 3 supports, we could also look at that. So as you can see, we clear everything fairly simply, as it is right now. And there goes a little rare guy. We'll kill him real quick. And then if we only had 4 supports, we'd pull Rage off of Tempest Flurry, and then off of Flickerstrike we would pull off we'll go with Concentrated Effect. There we go. So this is what your damage would look like in these situations where you haven't quite found a 4 link yet. So you're just running 3 links on your items. So as you can see, the damage is almost identical on our Flurry. Not a big difference. Flickerstrike, we don't use too much. You can use it whenever you're killing stuff. Flickerstrike is primarily there for additional burst and bossing damage. But you can use it to get out of sticky situations, like if you're surrounded. And you can especially use it in really high dense situations, like maybe a breach where you've got a ton of mobs around, you want to kill everything very quickly. But most of the time you're just going to be swinging your staff and drinking your mana flasks, because mana is a little bit of a struggle. We do have a jewel that is mana on kill. If you don't have the mana on kill jewel, you can run mana on kill on your tree, or you could potentially run mana on kill on your staff, but flat damage is a little hard to come by in an attribute stacking build when you don't have a Hand of Wisdom in action. And so we're trying to keep our staff set up to have the flat damage that we need to scale our character. As far as durability goes, I mean, we have Tailwind, which is a ridiculously strong ability, especially with very high levels of attack speed. We have we have Evasion at reasonable levels. We have Energy Shield at reasonable levels. So like right now we've got 1400 energy shield, 2600 life, which pushes at 4k life and energy shield. More than enough to stand in just about everything other than obvious one-shots. Like on Death Corpse Explosion one-shots. And we'll zoom over here. And where is the boss on this? Way down there. Need to go all the way around to get to the... I would recommend doing an offhand blink or an offhand shield charge to get around the map faster. This map sucks in general, so there's no way to get around this map too much faster because of all the terrain blocking. But definitely whenever you're playing the character, run something in your offhand that is going to help with your movement speed. You'll just have much better quality of life that way. For the love of God. This is the longest run to the boss. Nothing at all on the way. But little trash mobs. It's while we're running over there, we are using Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice, which we'll go over later. We're using these in conjunction to have some chaining explosions to help us with clear. The more flat damage you get, the more strength you get, the more effective this clear is going to be. It kind of has breakpoints based on your gear and strength of your enemies on when it does the most damage. We drop both bells. Flickerstrike on her. Attacking. Drop bells again. As soon as you can Flickerstrike again. And she's dead.
Don't mind if I do.
And now let's go take a look at everything. For skills, we are running Tempest Flurry with Martial Tempo, Inspiration, and Crescendo. And then if you have multiple links, we'll be running Rage, followed by Shock Siphon, to help with recovery in the map. Herald of Thunder, we are running Glaciation, Ice Bite, and Cold Infusion. Herald of Thunder needs to chill. Herald of Ice needs to shock. So Herald of Ice running Conduction, Innervate, and Lightning Infusion. If you don't have the fourth link, you don't need to run Magnified Effect on that. On our first Tempest Bell, we are running Overabundance, Lightning Exposure, and Strip Away. This allows us to get a big exposure on the target. And on Flickerstrike, we are running Perpetual Charge, Close Combat, and Primal Armament. Combat Frenzy is just Profusion. If you have Spirit on your chest or your amulet, you can run Overwhelming Presence here for better clear, or you can run Ghost Shroud in here for better defenses. Charge Staff, we are running Persistence with Electrocute and Longshot. This just helps a lot with clear, especially killing things far away. Electrocute stuns them so they don't come and hit you while you're attacking them. And Electrocute also adds up into the total number of ailments affecting Tempest Bell, which increases Tempest Bell's damage again. You want to, on Tempest Bell, have Ignite, Chill, Freeze, Shock, and Electrocute. We're getting Electrocute from Charge Staff, Shock from our Tempest Flurry, Freeze from our Chill damage on Tempest Flurry, Chill from having any kind of cold damage that can chill, and then Ignite from having flat fire damage on our ring. So that's how we're doing damage with Tempest Bell. Our second Tempest Bell, we are running Overcharge, Immolate, and Culling Strike. Again, you can run as many bells as you want to with any variety of combination of skills that you would like to. The bells are only limited by your ability to click them and put them on the ground, and the number of skill slots that you have. And you see, we are full on skill slots right now, so this is going to be where we add a limit for bells, but for example, we could take Overwhelming Presence off, stick another bell on there, and do some other useful stuff with bells here, and then that bell would do damage along with these other two bells right here. Now, if they take away the ability to use multiple bells, you're probably only going to run an Overcharge, a Overabundance, Lightning Exposure, and Strip Away, but as long as we're able to have multiple bells, we'll keep dropping bells on the ground. Now, as for our items go, we are running a Pillar of the Caged God Staff with flat cold damage added onto it. We have an Energy Shield Helmet that has some life and some int on it. That would be ideal. We have an amulet that has stats on it and life on it and anything else useful. I've anointed Viciousness on here, which is just a very cheap way to get attack speed and dexterity. On our rings, we want flat damage, life, and resistances, and stats. These are both kind of like meh rings, but you can find some very good rings out there. On our body armor, we want dex and resistances and energy shield evasion. This one got a lucky corruption on it. You don't need the damage recruit his life. It's just coincidental. And then the int you also don't need, but it is nice to have. If 30 int is 30% increased damage because of our node on the tree for lowest attribute, so it's not terrible, but you don't have to find one with int. Same thing goes for your boots. These don't have to have int on them, but if they do have int on them, that's good. Your belt, you do want to have strength and some resistances, as well as some life on it. And then your gloves, you want to have flat damage, at least 1 fire damage, preferably more cold. On this one, we don't have a whole lot of cold flat damage, but we would like more cold flat damage on those. But you want flat damage, and would prefer to have life on this, or a good roll for armor and energy shield, and dex plus resistances. This one is kind of a meh glove, but again, we're just working with really budget gear to get the build going and get it started and have fun. So as you saw, we cleared out a T16 map with no difficulty, killed a T16 boss with no difficulty on a very, very budget version of the build. Now, passives, we'll have a max roll guide below with the passive tree, but I mean, you're going over here and getting power charges and extra as cold so that we can get more freezes out. Then we're getting resonance, so we can use combat frenzy, spectral ward for defenses, power charge for staff and Flickerstrike bonuses, quarterstaff nodes and extra power charges per consuming a power charge, attack speed per dex, increased percentage dex, skill speed and movement speed, increased attack speed per accuracy, increased lightning penetration and shock chance, non-critical hits with lightning damage is lucky, so we don't want to stack crit for any reason, and then polymathy and jack of all trades. Very, very simple tree. If you are under level 86 and you're trying to copy the tree, I would drop the accuracy nodes here first, this skill speed node second, this lightning pen with shock third, and that would put you in the 70s. Get going with the build reasonably. If you're lower level than that, you can drop these quarterstaff nodes, and worst case scenario, you can drop these dex nodes to get going. But you do want to get all the way down here and get all these stats, the stat scaling, and this increased attributes. It's a very, very important node. Again, the only jewel I have socketed is a 2% mana on kill with damage penetrates cold res. Nothing else really useful on there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 possible gem slots with 2 more that are close by. So if you do have good jewels, utilize those. Good jewels would be like quarterstaff attack speed, elemental damage, so on and so forth. But again, we're just running budget. We're assuming you don't have the money to buy jewels yet, and so you're just running with what you got. And if you have any questions on the build, please drop a comment down below or come by Twitch and ask. I am happy to help any way I can. Other than that, thank y'all for watching. Peace.